Hi folks, Harry Frank from Gray Machine here, and in this tutorial I am really excited to show you a really cool trick that I've just discovered, and I think this is a relatively new feature. Hopefully. I've been using After Effects since 1995, and I've just discovered this, so I assume it's relatively new within the last couple versions of After Effects. Now what I'm talking about is a feature in the render queue that allows us to keep things super organized. In fact, I'm going to go in here and delete my current settings and we're going to make these over from scratch. So what we're talking about is this output section here where we name our render. Now generally what you see when you add something to the render queue using either whatever quick key you like to use, like add to render queue like that, generally what it does is take the comp name and append the file extension, which it's probably done that so many times you don't even think about it, but that's exactly what it's doing. It's taking the name of the composition and automatically taking the name of the composition and appending whatever file format you're using. Now, if you click on this little drop-down menu, there's a number of different options in here, but it gets really interesting when you go to custom, and let's erase all this stuff. Now, down here, we have this add property section. There's all kinds of stuff in here. In fact, there's stuff in here that's not used in the presets that they have. At the very bottom, there's one called projectFolder. So what this is going to do is direct everything in terms of your renders to the current directory that your project is contained within. Now I can even add another / and create a subdirectory in here like render or output. I generally use the word output. So I'm going to say, okay, put my render in the current project folder in a subdirectory called output. And then from here, we can say, all right, let's use the comp name. And then I'm going to put an underscore, and I am going to add one more thing, which is the compressor. Because sometimes it tends to put these at the very beginning. Sometimes I like to, or usually I like to add the compressor that I'm using. Am I rendering to ProRes? Am I rendering to H.264 for a quick preview? Or maybe I'm rendering to ProRes 422 as a quick preview or whatever. So putting the compressor on there is really useful because sometimes I do multiple renders to different output formats, or codecs, I should say. So let's put a period, and then we can put the old file name in there. Let's see if I can get this to go to the end. File extension. Yeah, still went to the beginning, so let's put that at the very end. There. So the current folder, the current project folder, subdirectory called output, using the comp name and the compression module and the file extension. And actually, I'm going to save this using the little save here. We'll call this the current project folder. Select default, so that everything I add is now going to be default, and then hit OK. It's actually turned on because I think I already had one called current project folder that matched these settings. So now notice it's project folder, subdirectory output, and then my comp, which is my comp name, and we're using the animation codec. So let's change this to, let's say, ProRes 422, and then we'll add another one. Click the plus here and change that to H.264. Now I've got two identical renders, but one is using ProRes, one is using H.264. So if I hit render, yes. So here's my folder, some folder somewhere, and then it's created a subdirectory called output, and then inside there it's put both versions of my renders with the appropriate codec names on there. Now, as long as I've used After Effects, I've always kind of fumbled around with this in terms of naming things correctly, or rendering it once and changing the name, or locating my current locating my current project directory. So if you set this preset, you'll never have to worry about that again because it's always going to pull your current project folder, which I think is a really, really cool way of doing it. So I hope this helps. This certainly helped me. My name's Harry Frank. Thank you so much for watching.